I'd like to call the Policy and Academics February Committee meeting to order, please. Roll call, Mr. Martin.
Ms. Bourgeois.
Here.
Ms. Wells.
Here.
Dr. Yakinabi.
Item number 2, Policy and Procedure. A, to consider approving revisions to Policy JCDAE, Student Computer and Technology Use. Mr. Cook.
The LDOE weekly newsletter, January 20, 2025, included a notification that school boards are required to develop or update their policy regarding student use of telecommunication devices based on recent revisions. BSC Bulletin 741, the Louisiana Handbook for Administrators, Section 1141. The section requires school boards to adopt a revised policy and submit the policy to the Department of Education by March 1st. Provisions include prohibiting possession of wearable technology capable of sending or receiving text messages and other similar notifications during the instructional day. In addition, the new provisions of Section 1141 require several components be included in the policy, such as the definition of instructional day, applicability of the provision to school-sponsored events, and acceptable means by which parents and guardians can communicate with their students. Policy JCDAE, Student Computer and Technology Use, has been reviewed and found to include required provisions of the updated bulletin. The revisions by forethought have been reviewed by attorney and CWA on our annual order.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. The recommended action is to approve revisions to Policy JCDAE, Student Computer and Technology Use, as presented by Mr. Greg Cook, Director of Child Welfare and Attendance. So moved. Seconded by Ms. Wells. Is there any public comment? Is there any board comment?
I have questions. So this includes the Apple Watch, right? Is that what it is? And this is law that we have to follow Louisiana law, or is this just like just our own policy that the state in policy with their policy?
So there's a state law that mandates that no kids can bring the phones to school during the instructional day. And there's a requirement that we submit our policy, as Mr. Cook explained, that conforms with the law to the Department of Ed, almost as a way to make sure that we're conforming with the expectations that the state has set out. I do want to point out, that might be your third question, we did define the instructional day in this policy, and it's not consistent throughout all of our school grade bands, right? I want to make sure that everybody understands that for elementary students, the instructional day begins when they step off of the bus and enter the school campus to the time that the bell rings to dismiss for the day. For our middle and high schools, instructional day is defined by the class periods themselves. So the instructional day begins at the ringing of the first bell to begin first period, ends at the end of first period, then begins at the beginning of second period and ends at the end of second period. So for middle and high school students, when class is not in session, the instructional day is not taking place. If you visit Thibodeau High at lunch, you will see kids using their phones. If you visit Thibodeau High after school, you will see kids using their phones. But during fourth period, even if a kid is walking the halls, they are not to be using their phones. That is how we have defined the instructional day for Lafourche Parish, and this policy is before you to articulate your intent. That's what we attempted to do.
So question, so if they wear the Apple Watch to school and their phone is powered off, are they still allowed to have the watch on their wrist?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as it's not a communication device.
Because because kids can't tell time nowadays, right?
It's the moment that the watch becomes used in a means to communicate to someone else, right? If they're texting on their watch, they are in violation of the policy. If they're talking to someone on their watch, if the watch is a timepiece that's capable of talking, they're not
using it. Okay.
It's the grayest of gray areas.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to be clear because I know there's going to be lots of questions, even with my own children.
So you did clarify that, I think, to make it understandable. I was under that impression, but that's the wrong. I'm glad you verified.
I was waiting for, everybody to start flipping out, whatever. But if they can have the watch, they'll just not use it in that capacity.
Yeah, we had an equal difficult time defining even the phone and where it physically can be was difficult to articulate and define because the state law says that they can't have it, period. And then it gives you all the ways that they can have it in the very following sentence. So we struggled in arriving at how to word this. And so right now, if you pick on Thibodeau High, I was there this week. If you see a very, the young female students with their pants, you can see the outline of the phone in their pocket, the same as mine. Not a problem. This is not going to be some stop, you've got a phone during the fourth period thing. It's really when it's in their hands and they're actively using it during the instructional day that this becomes a violation. And it has helped. I will tell you, we're talking about this, it's now February. Oh, yeah, no, they're on. I just need to get closer. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. It has helped tremendously for our teachers and our schools. It has had a very positive impact. Mr. Delcom and I met with our student advisory committee very recently. It may have been this week or last. And they all said that the number of kids on their phone in class has just dropped off tremendously. We still have hiccups. I get briefed every 2 weeks that we still run less than 100 every 2 weeks. District-wide, 13,000 kids, less than 100 technology referrals in a 2-week period. So I think that it's been very beneficial. I think this policy accurately captures what our principals are doing today. And it has been a less than controversial thing than I thought it was going to be in August.
Any other board questions or comments? Hearing none, we can vote. Motion does pass, it's just frozen on the screen. On to item 3, academics, supervisory staff updates. A, curriculum district data and accountability, Ms. Dr. Kelly Burlett.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So it is testing time again. So schools are currently administering 3 tests, ELPT, ELPT Connect, and LEAP Connect. ELPT and ELPT Connect are for our English language learners to assess their level of English proficiency. And LEAP Connect is our alternate assessment for students with exceptionalities. Testing window opened on February the 10th and will test through March the 19th. We are also in preparation for spring testing. So the first test up is ACT. This year, we're going to be administering that test to seniors, juniors, and sophomores. So we've added in sophomores. They will take the regular ACT test. That's going to be on Tuesday, March 18th. Any student who is not testing will be learning virtually from home. So that is a virtual test. We are also beginning on April the 7th going to be administering the K3 screener, formerly known as DIBELS assessment. That's for all kinder through 3rd grade students. It is a secure test. It's our end of the year test. Because of the high stakes nature of 3rd grade, because of the Louisiana law, the state is opening up 2 additional summer screening windows to give our 3rd graders 2 more opportunities to become proficient on DIBELS before the beginning of the school year. High school LEAP 2025, that testing will start on April the 28th. We're going to have seniors and retesters that are going to test on that date. And then the bulk of the high school test will occur between April the 29th and May the 1st. That is 3 virtual days for students who are not testing, but we're going to be able to test the majority of students there. There is an additional day, so on May the 2nd, we're going to be testing some additional U.S. history, but because of how we've structured social studies this year at the high school level, we have a number of students taking U.S. history, so we had to extend that. For grades 3 to 8, LEAP 2025 will also take place at the end of April. That last week in April will start on Tuesday, and that window extends through May the 8th, and then we'll possibly have makeup testing after that. The LDOE, in an effort to reduce the amount of time that students are testing, has altered some of the tests and changed the times of those particular tests. It's more noticeable in ELA, where they've actually omitted one of the writing tasks. And so these are the new times. Most of the times, with the exception of science, in 3rd and 4th grade, all of the times have been reduced, some more than others. So some it's been just 5 minutes, so they've eliminated some of the questions, but other tests, like I mentioned before, ELA is more substantial reduction in the amount of time that students are testing. And then I'm also working on Grow Lafouche, which is our alternate certification program for teachers who are currently working in Lafouche Parish. We are just about to finish our first cohort, so they're about to finish their internship, and we will apply for their certification in May. We're really excited about that. I'm in the process of going around and visiting all of our participants. We have 11 to make sure that they have all of the qualifications that they need for us to process those certifications. No man left behind, so I want to make sure everybody completes it. We also have the applications for 2025 and 2026 open. We've had lots of interest in fielding a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails from current teachers who are super interested in joining our next cohort. The applications will close on April the 1st, and we will begin our summer coursework on June the 2nd. We're going to be at CMC again. They've been really kind to allow us to go back there. Yes, ma'am.
Do you, is there a certain number that you can take in the class, or, I mean, you have a cutoff, or you can take them all?
I'm gonna take as many as we can.
Okay.
I think that when we get to, maybe 30-ish, it might be a little much because we are kind of like a new program, but if I can make it work, then I will take as many people, hopefully as interested, and that meet the qualifications. And right now, the sticky point for a lot of underqualified teachers is the practice and being able to pass that content area test. Not necessarily the grade point average or the lack of want. It's just they're having difficulties passing the content.
I have to say that I saw one of your candidates on that's finishing up on Facebook, encouraging somebody else who was posting on how to get certified. She was encouraging her and telling her the avenue and get to Grow Lafouche. So that was encouraging.
Yeah, well, they really are our biggest advocate, and they've been great PR, just telling everybody, go through this program. It's really worthwhile. So that's wonderful for us. Yes.
Thank you. Special education, Mrs. Andrea Delco. She's not here. She couldn't be here, okay? And C, technology, Ms. Lacey McKinney.
All right, good evening, everyone. First, on-course update. As we continue with our first year of implementation, we continue to support the schools. We sent out a survey to all those who utilize on-course, and from that we developed some resources. And this one, if you could scroll down so we could show an example of the resource. So this is just one example, and we have it all organized in a central location that's titled everything. So it kind of gives you a step-by-step with visuals on where to click to help them navigate the system as much as possible. We've also conducted site visits last week with the on-course reps, Mr. Sam and Ms. Tyra. Katie went to the majority of the schools. I visited some on Friday. We have the school wanted to run it, whether we sat in a room and they came to us with questions or however, just to see what you need help with. What do you want it to do that you don't think it can do, or this, that, and the other. So anything they would need, we kind of met with them about that, which went great. We did have a little snag. Ms. Tara had an emergency on Friday, so we have to reschedule some for March, but it's only about 5 or 6 schools. So, next thing, I wanted to update you on was upgrading desktops. So Windows 10 is ending in October. So we have a lot of 990s and 5040s, which I know probably doesn't mean much to you, but it's basically the model of the computer, and it will not support Windows 11. So we need to upgrade those desktops. There were some that were purchased before, like last year, that were for the admin, the clerical, and the counselors. So those were installed in the high schools at the beginning of the year. Our techs are currently putting the middle schools in, and then we'll do elementary next, and then we're working on the inventory for cafeteria and library ones, and then we'll install those. And then the last board meeting, y'all had approved for the bid for the refurbish, so we're using that to help with this process. Next is camera maps. So this is kind of in conjunction with safety. Ms. Gwen, if you want to go to the last page. This is an example of what it looks like. So you can see the little blue dot next to the picture. That's me signing in the other morning, but the little blue dot moves. So as the person moves, it moves. So you can click on the little person and it'll blow up the picture of whatever it's detecting. And then the little purple symbols are cars. So that's in the parking lot. The little cars will move too if the vehicle is in motion. And so you can either click on the camera, which is the green part, or you can click on the actual thing that's the purple or the blue thing. So basically what I was helping them do is Jared would communicate with the school as to where the cameras go on the floor plan, because obviously I don't know every school in LaFouche Parish. And so they would just kind of tell us where it's located on a map, and then I would put the camera where it goes and position it to the angle that it goes. So that's a project we've been doing. So it's very useful, especially if like you had somebody on campus that wasn't supposed to be, you can track them. You don't have to know which camera to go to. You can find the blue dot and follow them along.
She's been really instrumental in getting all of this up in the cameras. When it's static like this, you don't get a feel for it, but as an example, if you're on this map view at dismissal, you see the children as icons all flooding out. And if you click on one, it picks up that one child. And if they weren't all dressed the same, the camera would follow that specific child around the building. It's really incredible technology.
Is it like their ID, or is it just like?
So it picks up every person through motion, and then it uses AI to know what that person looks like, and you can find every person wearing a red backpack on the campus. This camera system is so advanced that we share this with the sheriff's office. In their emergency operations center, they were being sold some very high-end camera systems. They opted out and said this was superior to anything that they had seen. So they're able to right now, if there is some crisis, log into this map and see where everyone in the hallways are in real time from their command center.
This is in all schools. This will be in all
Every school.
every building.
We're 90% complete with having every school their map done. With the construction, we're kind of waiting on those schools to kind of.
Golden Meadow Middle, we have some hanging chads, right?
St. Charles. I have them written down somewhere.
Right. It's schools that have a reason for not being done because of their current status.
Only 3.
And it's every building in the school. It's amazing.
So in fact, I can pull it up on my iPad. Principals can pull them up with their phone. So it's not that you have to be at a computer either. The only thing on the iPad or the phone, it doesn't allow you to click and see that actual picture, but like this is the boardroom we're in right now, and there's a lot of blue dots. So, like I can't click the blue dot, but I can click the camera, and then I can open it up and see all of us sitting in the boardroom. But if somebody would walk in the hall, then a blue dot would move, and you would know that someone's.
So if there's like an active shooter somewhere and there's no need to radio with this person, you can Click,
You
click,
just
click,
see.
see where they're at.
And more importantly, again, because our employees are gonna be worried about responding to the children and getting that done, but our emergency responders have access to the exact same camera in real time and can communicate to us and through us. It's amazing.
And I'm also working on, so you kind of want to see where the light green, I don't know how well you can see it. Like I have to put the wall too, because when you put the camera in, it makes this big field of view, and then it looks like the car is in the building instead of. So that's something, all the cameras on 90% of them are in their place and facing the right angle, but I'm gonna need to go back and kind of put the walls too, so the cars are not in the building.
And just to say how much work she's done to get this done, what we had before this map view was just a listing of 129 computers, and you had to cameras, and you know which one to go click on, and you had to know, oh, if I left from the $100, one to the $400, that's way down here. It was,
You save so much space.
unless you were Chris Arnold at Central, you couldn't do it. I think it was Chris because he managed the cameras, he knew where they all were.
So this is just a lot more efficient when you're trying to,
Yes.
pinpoint something.
You can even click on, like I did the blue dot, and you can make a search, and it'll search for that particular person over the course of it. So you can then go and look and follow that person. That you could even put a time frame. You want to look at them for the last week or whatever. So it has a lot of good features to it.
I think that parents really need to know that we have this in place so that they can see what their tax monies went to for safety. You know, I mean, they know that we have fences around and one point of entry, but if they knew that we had this, you know, I just think it would be some really good information that they should have. And I don't know how we do that.
And you can do it.
Oh, okay. Can you put it in your own? Yeah, I just think it's a good
Yes, and the
idea.
bus cameras, like once that get rolling, like maybe a little.
Right,
But
right. So they know that this is your tax dollars at work for our children, safety
Yeah,
of our
it
children.
can absolutely be part of our newsletter, you're right.
Also, another fun project I've been working on, EdLink and the Louisiana Education Portal. So the LDOE created a new platform for observations, SLTs, coaching plans, et cetera, to be entered into their database. And of course, we have to upload our staff files up to, or using OnCourse up to the state, and then the employees had to create a Mila account and then hook up to the system through Ops Portal, which I know is just Greek to you right now. But basically, systems needed to work together for them to end up in this portal, to be able to have everything entered. So I've supported pretty much everyone in getting in the portal and then navigating the portal with, because not everything works perfectly. I've learned a lot of how it operates, but I'm still not an expert at it. I learn something new every day, and they keep changing it as we go along. So just keep learning what to do and how to navigate it, and hopefully they'll get all the kinks out this year. I think this year is a training year, and so hopefully it'll be smoother next year. And then the teacher device inventory. Just trying to get a handle on where all the devices are currently, how many I can account for that were dispersed, I think using ESSER funds, just to kind of have a good, accurate inventory to account for all those devices. Because if today you ask me where they're all at, I can't account for all of them, so I want to be able to account for all of them, so I'm working on that. That's it. Any questions?
As always, Chris, thank you, ladies, for your reports. There being no further business before this committee, we are